This is Chuck here from Milton Daily Homes, local realtor with Royal LePage, and I'm here with Colin Best, and he's a regional councillor. He's a member of the head of the planning committee. I mean, why don't you tell everyone a bit about yourself?
Well, thanks, Chuck, for having me on Milton Daily Homes. I'm on the chair of the Milton Administration and Planning Committee, and also the vice chair of the Regional Planning and the Public Works Committee. So I'm quite involved with a number of issues in town.
A local appraiser as well?
Yeah, that's my other job.
Right. Which hat do I put on today? Then?
Yeah, well, it's similar to what your work is, too, that you're advising people as well as trying to do something in the community.
Right, for sure. And I think I can't imagine anyone better to talk about the future of Milton. And so what we're going to go over today is a bunch of maps and zoning and planning. We're really going to try and bring it down to kind of a simple level that people would understand. Because when you go on the website and you open some of these documents, it can be very overwhelming. So what would you like to share with us today?
Well, just for new home buyers and for people that are looking at buying new locations, actually the best information you get is actually on the town website, milton.ca. We have a brochure which you also pick up at any new home building site. It's called Before You Buy, and what it has in there is who to contact at the town, the region, the various utility companies of what's going on. Because a lot of people, when they buy a new house, they're not too sure of the neighborhood of what's going on. And one thing I always stress, as a councillor but also the appraiser, is that when you see a piece of vacant land, don't rely on what the builder's agent's telling you, because they're just under contract.
Sure.
Check with the town, check with the person responsible, and find out, okay, that vacant field, which the agent, and I've seen this happen, is, oh yeah, that's just going to be parkland. No, it's another builder's property.
Right.
So the big thing is check, do your due diligence on a property, because you are spending the most major investment in your life on a new home, and especially when you look at the prices in this area.
And what people will probably see is probably for the next 10 years is it's pretty much planned out. I mean, a lot of this is already in, the wheels are turning on this stuff. So we'll give them a picture of what's happening, what's coming up. And I mean, what's your vision for Milton? I mean, you've talked about how big we are, and I think a lot of people don't realize how, as a community compared to some of the other cities in Canada.
Yeah, officially we're 88,000 people right now, as of our staff estimate. We're having the census data coming out this summer, and we'll probably be closer to 95, because despite what you see on the signs coming into town, they can't keep up with it. The sign guys just gave up years ago. As you say, 70,000 or 66. We're close. You might as well just put 100 and just have a rolling count, because on average we have 3 to 4 families a day moving to town in various locations.
Wow.
So you figure that number of homes plus we have an average of 100 homes per month being occupied.
Right.
So that's a huge growth area. There's more growth in Milton than there are in the other 3 municipalities in the whole area.
Wow. It's almost like you need the clicker, like when you go to the bar, right?
Yeah, that's okay. Sort of a rolling thing. But, yeah, I brought some maps along with me today, and just to show you some of the details and what I can share with your viewers, exactly what's happening.
Perfect. So let's get started.
Okay, Chuck. Just give you some background for your viewers. This is an aerial photograph taken in the town about 2009. Unfortunately, it's already out of date. Give anyone that's really not familiar with the town, the original town, which is this square here, is some people call Old Milton, is divided up into 4 quadrants. You know, Dorset Park, Timberley, Bronte Meadows, the old part of town, and North Milton area here. This is approximately about 23,000 people. It's currently all built out, except for what we call the intensification area, which is basically from Millside Drive to Thompson Road. This is where the GO station in the middle. This is where the town, through the Provincial Places to Grow Act, is looking at putting about 5,000 new units in this area. So you're going to see a lot of changes here, because this water is being changed over to lake water, as well as we have the new underpass being built, which is going to take about 3 to 4 years. This is a great area because all the schools are already here. You know exactly where things are, and we've also got easy location to downtown to various attractions and the fairgrounds. The first area that was built in town in post-2000 was called the Bristol Survey. It's a number of builders, and it's still being finished off in several areas. Here we have about 4 builders that are doing new releases. This area is becoming more mature. You have the new Arts Center here, the Leisure Center, Bishop Redding, and also the Alliance Sports Park here. We have several developments coming along the south side of Main Street, and also just the new area here. We have the new Longo's, Home Depot, and the Galaxy Theater. So this is getting more mature, and actually for new people, they're called Old Milton residents now because they've been here all 5 years. So it's quite a changing neighborhood. You're basically a lot of improvements to the lands. We got a few vacant parcels left, which the builders are finishing off. But you have large schools here. We also have a new school being planned at Sauve and And Dairy Road is called Milton 7. That should be open about 2013. This area is quite attractive to people because it's easy to get to what's called the new Dairy Green area, the GO station, and as well as the 401 through James Snow Parkway. And one of the long-term plans of James Snow is to go south to connect up with Neogawa and the Highway 407. The third area, which is called the Bristol Survey, is still under construction. This photo is slightly outdated. You have a lot of construction here of Intercorp, Arista, Mattamy, and Fieldgate in this area, as well as Mattamy, the Hawthorne Village on the park, is being completed around the Milton Sports Centre. The hospital, which is expanded, it sits on 30 acres. The whole hospital is going to be expanded hopefully the next 4 years. It has been approved and it should be completed in 2017. There is also a number of other medium density areas here, plus 2 new construction areas that Mattamy and the Conservatory Group are building. Up to the north is what's called the Milton Heights area. This is currently going to an Ontario Municipal Board hearing for about 1,000 homes, both north and south of 3rd Side Road, as well as a new interchange called the Tremaine Road interchange connecting the 401. So we'll be hearing a lot more news about that, and they're looking at being a very attractive area close to Kelso and the new parks. The Conservation Authority should be opening the old quarry. As you can see, it has a lake here, which is actually bigger than the mill pond. And that's going to be done. And also the town's working on a park plan for this area too. And also we have on the west side is the Milton Education Village, which covers this whole hatched area. The town owns 150 acres in the middle, and the proposed velodrome is possibly going on a 5-acre site beside it. So we'll be hearing more about that in the spring in terms of when it gets approved. The third area, which is now under consideration, we'll be having a meeting later in January, it's called the Boyne Survey. It's everything from Louis St. Laurent south to Britannia Road, from Tremaine over to James Snow Parkway. When this is eventually completed, it should have about 50,000 people, and it should be starting on the west side of town and working its way east. There's about 4 major developers here owning about 80% of the land. So between this area, once this area is all finished in about 5 to 10 years' time, the town will have about 160,000 people. And this is including the intensification area. There's a new official plan the province has approved for the region. It includes another 75,000 people south of Britannia Road and along both sides of Trafalgar Road. But that's not until after 2021. So if you're looking at future investments, stay in Milton because we are the growth area of the GTA. We're basically taking over what Mississauga and Brampton left off, and hopefully we'll do a better job of it. Getting down to more detailed information, this is what's the latest zoning map of the town. Every area here has the different zones. FD is future development. You've got the yellowish areas are in green are residential, commercial downtown, employment area, and industrial areas is the light purple area. This is very important if you're buying a house, either existing or new, to find out what the zoning is. The town's going through a review over the next year, updating our zoning regulations. So it's important to find out before you buy a house exactly what you can and can't do with your property, and also what your neighbors can do, because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of areas downtown that you might see a 1-story building now could be a 4- to 6-story building later. So check your zoning. And lastly, getting over to this map, this is a regional map. This is the other this is the construction periods for various projects. We just had Dairy Road completed in the last 2 years. Next year, actually we just approved the tender, is Steeles Avenue all the way across to Winston Churchill Boulevard to 4 lanes, as well as Highway 25 down to Highway 407 to be widened to 4 lanes, and Britannia Road in 2013-2015 be widened to 4 lanes, as well as a new Tremaine Road interchange, as well as some other roads. These colored areas are basically the projected growth over the next 5 years in the Boyne survey, as well as what's left of the Sherwood survey. So you can see there's about half the growth is in this first 5 years. The second half is in the 5 years, 2016 to 2021. So what we're trying to do is a whole neighborhood at once, rather than being hop, skipping, and jumping around, because that was one of the criticisms the town had, is that there was growth in all directions. Here we're trying to focus it, finish it in one area, and then move on to the next, so the schools and all the facilities can be built at that time. And also, if you're in the North Oakville area, you have a lot of growth on the north side of Dundas, and as well as the new Burnhamthorpe Road being built. So there's a lot of activity here, so if you are buying a home, check not only with the town, but also with the region, if you're close to a regional road, which you can also find at halton.ca.
So speaking with the people we speak to, there's obviously some specific questions from people that live here. I get requests from people like people who are a little bit more mature. What are some of their options? Some of the commercial locations around town, like what's that going to look like? Schools are a big thing that people consider. So if we got a little bit more specific on this planning map here and just looked at a couple different areas on Main Street, what the area around the Center for the Arts and the GO Station, just some of those things. Would you mind just sharing a bit more about that?
Sure, Chuck, because we all got a lot of the same questions. Regarding the downtown area, for anyone that's looking for retiring or empty nesting, we have the Sutherland Homes construction right here. You've got the York Trafalgar, which is going to be under construction this spring. They're basically 2-story buildings with an application for a 10-story building, which still has to be heard by council. Also beside the Arts Centre, there's a 2-acre parcel there that the town's considering selling for about a 10-story building, as well as all around the GO Station, basically south of Main Street, has anywhere from 6 stories up to 14 stories. And this is something that builders are looking in this area for, some major developments here. As well as downtown, it's also an intensification area. Everything downtown from Ontario Street to Bronte is zoned for 4 stories. So you're going to see a lot of developments there. I understand St. Paul's Church is looking at doing some work there, as well as we have some applications on the west end of Main Street. Also down along this section here between Derry to Louis St. Laurent, we have some mixed-use developments that a number of builders are building for seniors, for retired people, as well as we have a number of commercial applications. We have this area here, which Man has for lease right now. They should be starting construction later this year. Also an application by Fieldgate Commercial for a 100,000 square foot building, including a grocery store, as well as on the southwest corner, another possible grocery store by Fieldgate. Also, we have some other smaller intensification areas here for commercial development, as well as the new live-work area here at Thompson and Derry Road. Throughout the Boyne survey is also going to be a number of smaller commercial nodes, basically neighborhood commercial. And for long-term big box areas, we're looking at this northwest corner of Highway 25 and 401. It's going to be for an area similar to what you see at Mavis Road in Britannia, where you have the larger outlets. In Halton Hills, people may have heard of the 2 outlet centers at Jamestown and Trafalgar Road. Those have just been proposed. They haven't been approved in terms of actual construction. So that's something long-term. As well as in terms of schooling, I mentioned earlier, we have Milton number 7 located at Derry Road, which should be under construction next year and opening in September 2013. As well as Milton number 8. The school boards are working through this because they don't have the funding for this school yet. And this will serve the Hawthorne Village and Park area. As well as in this location here, you'll see anyone driving by Louis St. Laurent and Bronte will see the construction. This is a new Catholic high school that's been approved. It should be opening later in 2013. And this quadrant here, we have the new Craig Heigelberger High School, which is under construction right now. It should be opening September 2012, which will result in EC Drury high school being closed and this area being open. The school board is now considering what to do with this school because we have a huge need for elementary students, and that could be one of the potentials there.
Right, so Ontario is really the dividing line for the high schools
yes.
now. And then it's always been in Milton a very neighborhood-centric for the public schools, grade 1 to grade 8, almost right in the middle of most subdivisions.
Yeah, and that's what the school boards, both of them are trying to do. There also is a site over here on Savaline and Pringle for a Catholic elementary school from kindergarten to grade 8, because we have the new school here that just opened last year. But with both school boards, they're in a position that actually Councillor De Lorenz and myself talked to senior ministry people with Ministry of Education. Milton is unique in the whole province. We're growing far more. Most municipalities are actually closing schools. We can't keep up. We need to build about 1 to 2 schools a year just to keep up with the growth, because on average we're adding 5,000 to 6,000 people a year. When the Boyne survey opens up, we're looking at 6,000 to 8,000. So we need 2 schools in each of these quadrants. Each of them has a name, and we'll be having more discussions about these over the next coming years. So every 2 years you'd have a new quadrant opening up. So Milton is basically taking over as the frontier of the GTA.
Right, which is very exciting. And so a lot of parkland in this area right here.
Yeah. What Milton's also done is we're negotiating with builders over and above our normal 5% parkland dedication, not only to have additional parkland here, but also other parklands over larger parks up in this area here, to have one continuous park, hopefully, between the mill pond right up to Kelso.
Right.
So we've got that, plus the education village on the west side of town. We're looking at having a number of facilities. That's part of the reason why the town's interested in the velodrome, is we're looking at building a large community center for this area as well, as possibly another arena, so it possibly could fit together. But we still have to wait for the business plan for that, as well as the announcement from the province regarding Laurier University.
Now, we talked before we started shooting about the density in the different neighborhoods. Do you just want to talk about that, about how it's being developed and what people can expect?
Well, that's something, based on the price of land and the existing development. The older section of town, on average, is about 7 homes per acre. Give you an idea, an acre, for those not familiar, is the size of a soccer or football field. So I figure 7 houses on that football field. Now with the Sherwood survey, the Bristol survey, which was the first area to be developed, that's about 12 homes per acre. The Sherwood survey, the average density between all the small townhouses right up to the big lots is about 14 homes per acre. Well, the Boyne survey, we're looking at 18 homes an acre. So we're looking at smaller lots, but larger houses inside them, mostly going to 2 to 3 stories. But one of the great things about this, it helps it to be more sustainable for transit, and also takes up less farmland. So instead, basically tripling the densities in the area, but we're also keeping a large amount of parkland and making it convenient so people can actually walk to their school into the commercial areas.
Right, and it feeds very well into the target market, which is young families moving to Milton. So,
yeah, unfortunately, a lot of young families, they don't have time to maintain a large yard.
Right.
And as we find in the older part of town, you have people that, they love the area for pools and things, but they just don't have time to maintain it. So that's what a lot of people are downsizing.
Now, we focused a lot on the corner of, like right here, there's some commercial, the school. So that's certainly going to be a hub, because we mentioned that around that area is probably going to be 100,000 people, amazingly enough.
Yeah, by the time all this area is built out, you'll have about 100,000 area. Also, we're looking at what's called a strategic employment area. To the south of Britannia, you have a CN Rail owns 1,100 acres there. They're looking as the next phase after the Dairy Green is built out. This is where the town's hoping to work with the education village to have an innovation area here, because this area here, we've got the last application here by Emery Developments. This 401 industrial park will be built out in about 2 years' time. We currently have in this section here is the Target Distribution Center, which people can see the steel going out. That should be occupied later this year. So that's going to be jobs anywhere from 600 to 800 employees, which will be hiring later this year. So there's a lot of employment in town. So what the goal is, the town and the region, is have 50% of the people working in the Milton area, as opposed to driving out of the town every day, which also helps with some of the traffic problems.
Sure. Do you foresee any changes to the 401 with regards to traffic patterns?
Yes, that's one thing that the Ministry of Transport is conducting environmental assessment. They're currently widening the 401 by Highway 410. And what they're looking at doing is bringing it across to the Milton area in about 10 years' time, by 2021, having it 12 lanes from Highway 25 right over to Highway 10.
Right.
So we have more, as well as having HOV lanes, so we make it more transit friendly, as well as the big thing that the town's pushing for is all-day ghost service, which the province is committed to, and we hope to see the next 3 or 4 years' time. So you'd have trains going in both directions, not just in the morning and the evenings.
Right. More like the Lakeshore line that we see down in Oakville and Burlington. Okay, that's great. Do you want to talk about the beach? I know we've talked about that at the buyer class.
Sorry.
Up in there now. Apparently, we're going to have a sandy beach and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, if you see this map here, this used to be formerly a quarry. This is the Lac quarries. You have Kelso here, Glen Eden, and if you actually see here, this is taken about 2 years ago. The Conservation Authority is letting this 90 acres mature and basically have some grass seed there. You've got a beach, you've got walking trails, you can connect with the Bruce Trail, and also some beautiful views from up here of the whole of the GTA. You can see the CN Tower from this area, as well as the town's looking at acquiring this area here in terms of one large continuous park. Actually, I had one suggestion from one gentleman in town of having a zip line coming off the escarpment, which is probably the world's biggest zip line.
Right.
When you see it. But with the Milton Heights development, we're trying to preserve the existing village here, have the new Tremaine Road, which should be opening by 2015, and also keeping a large green space in the middle of it.
Right.
So we've got a number of activities here, so please check into the details. It's not just you see in the local papers, but check the town website as well as the regional website. Also, all the councillors have websites ourselves. We try and update what's happening in town and upcoming reports.
That's great. And how would someone get a hold of you?
Well, simply just go to milton.ca, or my email address is colin.best@milton.ca. Any questions, I try and answer within 24 hours, or you can call my home number 878-3623.
There you go. Local councillor, Colin Best, and it's a real pleasure. What do you see as, what's your vision for, what would be the dream come true for you talking about the future of Milton?
Well, the main thing I'm trying to do is having a balanced community. And it's one thing that people, have heard the term bedroom community. Well, that's something that Milton has been, but with the new hospital expansion, with Laurier University, with all the employment areas to the north, to the east, and to the south, you can live, work, and play. And that's something the town stresses, and something I'm trying to do is basically have a community you can spend your entire life here and be satisfied that you have all the entertainment areas, the recreational possibilities, as well as the employment in the future.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Chuck.